Hello, and you are back in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. This is our 76th episode, and today we'll be discussing why chivalry is dead and the wool is really being pulled over our eyes. So, we got two topics, and the second topic is probably going to branch off into a lot of stuff. Everyone loves tangents, and I've got plenty of them these days. But the first topic, chivalry being dead. I saw this video making the rounds on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people saw this. It was this woman being assaulted by a man, another man just standing there watching, doing nothing, and a lot of people are, shocked, up in arms about this. And it's understandable. People want protectors to be a thing. People don't like inaction, bystanders, all of these sorts of things. And when you're on the internet, it's very easy to look at something when you're disconnected from it, when you're not in the moment, and say, "Oh, I would have done it like this," or the person, the fact that they did it like that is beyond the pale. But most people, and I watched Fight Club, and when in one of the scenes of the movie, Tyler Durden says you have to go and start a fight with somebody. And what the narrator says is it's very hard to actually do that because most people don't want conflict. And that's very much a true thing, is that most people try to avoid conflict, stay out of conflict, do anything to not get into a fight. So if there's something that's going on that's physical that they're not involved in, there's a high barrier that most people will have in terms of getting involved in that, even if it's even if it's morally imperative to do so, like you see someone innocent being assaulted, or the whole women being assaulted, and we need to protect all women and all these sorts of things. And again, I do think this video and all this is a great advertisement for my advocacy that all women should conceal carry, or hell, open carry. Self-defense is very important. I would say more so for women than men, considering the dynamics of sexual vulnerability and all these sorts of things. So it's extremely important that if you are a woman listening to this, you need to know how to defend yourself. And I would say that goes for anybody. So you can arm yourself with guns, know how to use them. But pepper spray, just practicing basic situational awareness will go a long way these days, especially. But the whole thing is that you've got most people are naturally avoidant of conflict. And the second big thing is that the state, especially in these big urban areas, these blue states like your Los Angeles, your New York City, especially places like New York City, you see, I think there was one woman who got raped on a subway. Nobody did anything, and because people are afraid that, like, if I go and I do something to defend somebody, especially if the assailant has the let's see, the skin tone that stacks high on the progressive stack, you could get accused of being racist. You'll get criminalized by the state. So that's in the back of people's mind, is that it's more or less if I go and I try to defend somebody else, it's going to have blowback onto me. So people are looking out for themselves. And I think, the biggest thing is that there is just this one. I guess one of the other big things is that there is this lack of social cohesion. We don't live in these tight-knit communities anymore. We live in these big, urban cities, suburban sprawls, where people don't really know each other. There's no sense of community, so there's no like, oh, I know, her, she's Jessica, and you want to, protect Jessica because you know Jessica, you care about her, you don't want her to see her get hurt. It's just, some random blonde woman walking down the street, and it's like, well, I'm just going to walk away because I don't want to get involved. I don't want, like, the police to arrest me. I don't want this guy to beat me up too. All these sorts of things that go into the that's in the backs of people's mind, and these societal things. Again, you had one guy in New York City who actually defended somebody who actually prevented one of these things, and he gets criminalized by the state. So there's the fact that, again, people do not like conflict. They try to do whatever they can to avoid it. You've got the lack of social community and lack of social cohesion in tight-knit communities. And you've got the fact that the state will prosecute people who I'm not saying engage. I even calling it vigilantism, but like doing these like citizens enforcement of peacekeeping is something that the state will wag their finger and say, no, 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 you can't do that. We'll let the criminals do what they want, but if you try and stop them when the police do nothing, then we're going to criminalize you. It's really all about just the state maintaining its monopoly on force, use of violence, and ultimate decision making, and they have made the decision, whether intentionally or not, to let a lot of these urban centers be violent, crime-ridden hellholes, and that's just the way it is. And again, we've talked about this a lot. The fact that you've got people in on the top of society who are basically doing everything they can to accelerate its ruin, so they can gather as much power as they possibly can. But I think I've gabbed enough about this one topic. We're going on to the next, and if you're still with me, thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe on any platform you find yourself on. And again, this week has really all been about Trump's criminal trial, the hush trial, the fact that the Supreme Court is hearing if he has absolute immunity. That's what the Supreme Court is hearing, and of course the media is talking about that. Really isn't much talk on the fact that I talked about this on Tuesday. You had the foreign aid bill, Ukraine, Israel getting billions of dollars, and the fact that in that is the TikTok ban. This is something that we've talked about on Hump Day Potpourri a long time ago. This is something that's been in the works, and it seems like it's getting through, where TikTok is going to be banned or heavily regulated, forced to be sold, and this sets the precedent that the state can do this with any social media company that they deem to be a threat to national security, and they're going to basically say all of them are, and they're going to start with X, or Twitter, and alt tech, because those are the ones that have the information they're the least censored. Especially you go in like Minds, Gab, True Social, a bit more so. Those sites are the ones that have the most amount of information that's contrary to the narrative that the Uniparty is pushing onto the people. So they're going to go after them first. If this TikTok ban goes through all the way, it goes the way that they want it to, and they establish a precedent that they get to do this in the name of national security, to protect from China or Russia or whatever the hell they say. Well, we have to force Elon Musk to sell X to somebody who's going to run it like old Twitter, because think of the children. Think of the fact that our foreign adversaries could get one over on us. They'll come up with whatever reason. They'll get men in suits who are part of the intelligence community to say, well, if this doesn't happen to X, or we don't ban every alt-tech platform, then the entire country is going to burn in flames. It's basically what they're going to say. And the TikTok ban, or whatever they're doing with TikTok, is the foundation that they're going to build this censorship regime on. And all the people who said, I'm concerned about China, I'm concerned about what TikTok is doing to the kids, and advocated for this, are helping to build that foundation, a foundation for censorship that they do not want, they will actually be negatively affected by, and it's very, very sad to see. But of course, you've got these conservatives that will always snatch the feet from the jaws of victory. That is what they do. That is their bread and butter. It's just more evidence of that for every conservative that is absolutely for this, because this will come back, blow back in their face when it's election time. or basically anytime after this. Like I said, the censorship regime's foundation is being built on this, and you think it was bad before, it's going to get even worse now. And now the state involvement with social media, because it's been a thing before with the U.S. You just look at what the FBI told Twitter and Facebook and all these other social media companies to do. That's going to get pushed up to 11 with the amount of state intervention there's going to be, because again, they're building this precedent that justifies them doing this with this TikTok ban. It is the foundation they're going to build a new censorship regime on, and they are doing it now. Again, I think 2024 is a test run for a lot of things in terms of just how much censorship they can do. They're going to be ramping up a lot of censorship, probably trying to do as much censoring as possible. The big tech companies, think Facebook, Google. Those are the only two big ones I can think of. Oh yeah, Reddit as well. Those big social media companies are going to probably turn it up to 11 of their own accord, and the state is, of course, going to be working with them as well. The intelligence community is going to be telling them to do certain things. They're going to comply 100% to try and avoid as much regulation as possible. So it's really just, they're just going to play along. But like I said, this really is the regime, the censorship regime being completely built now, and people don't care because they're freaking out about Trump. You've got all these people who are feeling one way or another about Palestine. You had this protest with USC where all these college kids made a ruckus and they camped out in the quads or whatever. 93 arrests by 10 p.m. last night or whatever it was, and it really didn't do anything. They're still going to send money to Israel. They're still going to send money to Ukraine. The American empire's war machine is going to keep chugging along. The military-industrial complex isn't even anywhere close to there. So these people, these college students, don't organize effectively. They're just angry because they view the Palestine-Israel conflict through this Marxist lens, the oppressor-oppressed, where the poor Palestinians are oppressed by the evil Israelis. And, it's not completely untrue that there's war crimes being committed against people in Gaza and Palestinians and all these sorts of things. And I don't, condone that or advocate for it. I don't want to support Israel. I don't want to send money to Ukraine. They steal it from me and then they send it to them and then say, well, if you don't get on board with what we're doing, then you're not a patriotic American. I say, fuck that. But that's really my whole rant is that there's a lot of stuff going on in the culture that's going to negatively impact it, that's coming from private actors in the culture war. I could talk about what's happening with Stellar Blade and all these sorts of things, but focusing on what the state is doing to have more control over the people, the uniparty becoming even more of the uniparty and doing these nefarious things with TikTok. None of that's being talked about because it's all about Trump. It's all about Trump's criminal trial. It's all about, is Trump going to get immunity from the Supreme Court or not? So it's really just a whole big distraction. So, like I said, disengage from Trump being in the news cycle as much as you can, and focus on all the things you're doing in the background, because that's far more important. That's going to have far more of an effect on your life if it actually happens and they get to do what they want to do. But with that one, I am out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will be back next week for the 77th episode of this podcast. Thank you for being in the Velvet Room with Joker the Fool. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe whether you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, or Substack. And be sure to subscribe to my Substack, velvetroompublishing.substack.com, to keep up with Machine to Man and all my other projects.